Hi there, welcome to the Dietary Restriction Kitchen. I'm Nat Ryan. Today in the kitchen, we're going to do something very basic for some people, but something that I haven't personally done myself, and that is to pan fry okra. Now, I'm used to having okra in things like gumbo or other stews. I haven't tried okra on its own, so we're going to do that today and see how it goes. So let's get started. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put the okra in the sink. I've got a little bit of water in there. I'm going to just chuck them in there. And I've got this Norwex cloth that I'm using, and it's to wash vegetables. So we're going to give these okra a really good scrubbing in the water. And scrub the outsides. We want to like individually clean them because they're like they got this little fuzziness on the outside of them, so we're going to want to scrub that off. And I'm just going to put them back in my bowl. I'm going to set it over there slightly off camera for the moment. So that's one, and I'm going to do the next one. And I've got also, as far as I have some water in this sink, but I also have a little bit of vinegar. I put a little bit of, the vinegar I had in the house, I've got a couple kinds. I have apple cider vinegar, and I have some rice vinegar, and I think I have some red wine vinegar too. But what I use is just a little bit of apple cider vinegar in the water. Now, any old vinegar would do. We're going to do, so I just threw in a bit of my apple cider vinegar instead of the other vinegars because they seem a little fancy for just washing okras. So I'm just sort of individually scrubbing each okra pod. I'm going to give them a good dry after. That's going to be our next step. But for now, we're just giving them a good old scrub on the outside. This is really good because it's got like a rough edge or a rough side to the cloth. And it's really good for hand washing vegetables. So we're going to just give each pod a scrub on the outside because it's almost got this little fuzziness, right? We want to kind of get that off and give them a good individual wash here. So that's what we're doing. And one left, and then we'll be done with that. There. So they're washed, and I'm just going to dry them next. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to individually dry each okra pod. Now this is really important. I've got them laid out on a clean tea towel here, a clean kitchen towel. And then I'm taking another kitchen towel and patting these guys dry really, really well individually, right? And I'm setting them aside on a plate lined with a double layer of paper towel. So any other further moisture would be absorbed by that paper towel. So we're setting that aside for now. I'll show you. Trying to do this on camera here. So just individually sort of patting dry each okra pod as we go along. So yeah, I was looking up recipes on how to do the okra online, and I've found several about doing pan frying okra. It seems to be to keep things from getting mushy because the inside, particularly the inside of okra, will get pretty mushy. So, and also any moisture that it gets, right? So washing them even or anything like that, and the sauces or whatever that you have in gumbo or stews will make this make the okra get very mushy. Now the reason why I'm tempted to make this today is because I've never actually tasted an okra on its own, right? It's always been in gumbo or stew, and it seems like the taste of it, like what does it actually taste like when it's not in a stew or in a gumbo or something like that. So I wanted to try that out. So then this is going to be a very simple recipe to see what the taste of an actual okra is. So, and try to get the consistency good, like so it's not mushy and it's a little bit more crunchy on the outside. So there we go. I've got my okras I'm going to separate some out so that they're not touching as much, but there, so that they can dry out a little bit more. So that's the okra washed, and then we'll get to the next step. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to cut these okra. So from what I've gathered, you cut off the end. So I'm going to cut that top off, right? So there's the tops. I'm just going to set them in a container to put in the food waste later. So we're going to just chop all the ends off of these. And I'm just going to set them back on that plate that I had. So we're going to start with that. Just chop the ends off. So here we go. Just the top end. We may do the bottom end too, but like the tapered end. But I'm thinking that might be a good spot to get some moisture off the side of that one. Okay, there. And yeah, so I'm kind of curious about this, about what this is going to taste like at the end. So there was a lot of advice online about how to cook these, and one of them had it to soak them in vinegar for half an hour. I wasn't really sure about that. Now, the next thing, the best one I had is to take an okra and now chop it into 2-inch segments. So these are probably, about 4. So I'm just going to chop them kind of in half. So I've got them in halves, like, so you can see little bits like that. So this is what we're going to do. Just chop these in half. So then we're going to do it that way. I'm thinking that's easier for that they say the less exposure that the insides where the little seed pods are has to the air or to whatever you're using, the less mushy it's going to be. So we're just going to do it that way. We're just going to chop them in half. So there, we've got them all in halves. And then we're going to get them ready and get our pan ready to pan fry them. I know I said that we were going to pan fry next, but I forgot something. We're going to need a little bit of chopped up or crushed garlic. So we're going to do that because once we get pan frying the okra, we're not going to have time to do this because we're going to have to really pay attention to the okra. So what we've got here, you can cut them up or smash them. I've got one good sized clove of garlic. I just chopped it in half because what I'm going to use instead of dicing that small is I'm going to smash it in this. So I just this is my sort of what they call it, the garlic press, or I was going to say garlic smasher, but that's really basically it's a garlic press. And I'm just going to do that, and it just presses it, and you can see that we've got garlicky bits there now, right? So yeah. And then the reason why I cut the clove in half to do this is because it's pretty big to go in there. I was like, it's not going to all go in at once. And I'm just going to press it as much as I can. And then this is great for doing garlic. The only thing is cleaning this thing out afterwards. But there's some garlic for us to throw in with that okra when the time comes. Now, ordinarily we'll pan fry this on the stove, but I wanted to use a really big pan, so I'm going to use my electric frying pan again. And, plus it's, because we're going to be stir frying the okra, and I want to be able to have it lots of room and be able to individually get in there and not be too tight as well. So that's why we're doing that. I've got it put on as high heat as it'll go, and that's like 400 degrees Fahrenheit. So what we're going to do, it's starting to get warm. I'm going to add some oil to that, a couple tablespoons of oil. I'm using a coconut oil today. Coconut oil works really well. It's good for a high heat. So a couple tablespoons of that. So like 1 and then 2. Okay, so about 2 tablespoons. And we're going to get that going in there. Okay. And I'm just going to get something to stir while that's sort of melting on the pan. I'm going to get something to stir fry my okra with. And because this is a non-stick pan, I don't want to use something that's going to, scratch up my pan. So I've got just a sort of a resin, sort of plasticky spatula here, so that's what I'm going to use. Just going to cut it. That's starting to get a little bit snappy, so we're going to put in our okra right now. So we're just going to, there's the okra. Whoops, whoopsie doodles. I missed one back here. Okay. So we need to do these for about 2 minutes in the pan. And we need to stir them around quite a bit. So there's a couple seeds, little seeds they were talking about from the seed pods. I'm going to get that off. There we go. Yeah, because that's where the cut edge is, right? So and we're going to do that a couple minutes on there. Let's do a timer. Just put my microwave timer on so I can see if that goes to like 2 minutes. So we're just moving them around a little bit. So I'm really curious how this is going to be. I mean, now we're keeping the flavorings of this very simple. So what's going to happen is I'm going to add garlic for the last minute of the cooking. So this garlic and salt and pepper and a little bit of vinegar to finish them off. So I'm going to use a rice vinegar. So to do that, just the flavor, yes, but not mask the flavor of the okra too much. What does that taste like itself, right? So because that's the whole point right now. Is what does the okra taste like? I really, really don't know, right? Like I say, very hard to say because I'm so used to having it in other things. That one just doesn't want to turn over. Because I'm happy right here where I am. Like this guy here doesn't want to turn over. But yeah, so we're pan frying them for like 2 minutes. And we're moving them around. So it's kind of like you're stir frying it. Yeah, like get in the groove. They just want to be in the same spot. Like this is where I want to lay down. Now it doesn't want to roll over. There we go. So it kind of gets them crispy. Ooh, that's snappy. It's a little bit snappy, but it says like, yeah, you want to have that on high heat, right, for 2 minutes. Right, we're getting close to the end of 2 minutes. So what we're going to do now, once my timer goes off, so there, it's going to go off in about a second here. Okay, there it goes, my timer. So this is when I'm going to add that crushed garlic. So I'm just going to throw that crushed garlic in with it. A little bit of garlic. Now, why do I not add garlic early on? A lot of people do. Well, it's going to burn your garlic. And we don't want to do that. Now, the next thing we're going to do is add a little bit of that vinegar. I have it in a... Turning it back up a little bit now. Get the snappy off. Okay. That kind of made a bit of snappiness there, sure. Because if you put garlic in at the beginning, garlic is so fragile. These little pieces of garlic, crushed garlic, it actually will burn the garlic, right? So, I mean, contrary to popular belief, most of the time you shouldn't put garlic in at the beginning. It really depends on the recipe, but most people think you should. Like, that's how it's usually said in recipes, but if you do that, you burn your garlic. Okay, so that looks pretty good. And yeah, pan, we're going to put it on that piece of paper towel pan. I just turned the paper towel over, and then we're going to serve it out, and we're going to give this a try. Okay, so there they are. I'm just going to finish it off with a little bit of sea salt and pepper. So I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit of that on there. And a little bit of pepper. I'm just going to put a little bit of pepper on. Okay. Just going to change my screen here. So here I am. And there's the pan-fried okra. So I'm going to give it a shot. I haven't tasted this before. So let me grab a piece here. So I'm grabbing it by the end and see. That's interesting. It's soft on the inside, a little bit crunchy on the outside. You know, it kind of tastes like a little bit almost asparagus-y. like a little bit like asparagus almost. That's not bad at all. That's really pretty tasty. I've got the little pop of the little seeds in from the inside of the seed pods. Actually really quite nice. So I can see, I don't know if you can see the little seeds on the inside here, but in your mouth, seeds are in there. And you got this little, almost like a little bead, like a little tiny pearl, but they're soft pearls. Not mushy at all. I mean, it's soft. You know, it's soft, but it's not mushy. And it tastes very green. Almost like having an asparagus, but a bit milder than an asparagus. That's not bad at all. I like that. So, I think it's a hit. You know, very quick and easy stir-fried okra pods, and really tasty. Nice side dish. Would make a nice side dish for any meal. You could make drizzle with a little bit of sauce. I keep the sauce light because you wouldn't want to drown it and then get them soupy and get them to start getting mushy again. So really, really light. But this is really nice. This is actually really nice. So I think this is a keeper. So I'm going to have to add it to my repertoire and add it to my menus of things that I serve. I don't know how my family's going to feel about this, but I like it. So I thank you for coming to the Dietary Restriction Kitchen today. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.